Right, so here it is. The 1936-37 Astor Aladdin Prestel, and it's got the teledial, as it's commonly known, dial on it. And this particular chassis came from Barry on Saturday this week, so I've only had this for a couple of days. Prior to that, I had a complete one, but it's not really fixable, and I'll show you that in a moment. But over the last 6 months or so, and it has taken 6 months, I've cleaned up this dial. So this is going to look very spiffy when it's all put back together again. And it goes around there, I think. Where does it slot in? Yeah, there. So yes, you push the buttons in and then turn this. And it somehow recognises the stations. I'm not quite sure how it works yet. I do have another dial which I've pulled apart as far as possible, because these are spring loaded. Actually, this one's on a screw. The other one I looked at has it's a straight shaft on it with a circlip, so it's pretty hard to. Actually, that does come off, doesn't it? Or does it? No, I mean, it's pretty rusted up, but we might be able to pull all these off and then pull this section off and get to the drum here. And the drum requires a good coat of paint on it, because, be very careful, this weighs an absolute ton. This, when it's engaged, is that in focus? Almost. They certainly knew how to make mains transformers back in 1936-37. And yeah, so this should come backwards and forwards, and then this will engage the rim of this drum here, so you can manually tune it. But at the moment it's pretty stuck, although I have had soaking in penetrating, and what's today, Wednesday, since Saturday afternoon. So this is penetrating. I've been using it since probably 1972 or something like that, when I got my first push bike. That dates me, doesn't it? So this particular chassis actually does fire up, and the actual globes on here, which is amazing, these round bulb type ones, balloon glass on them, they light up, both of them. So one of them is for medium wave, the top section, and the bottom section is for short wave. What else can I tell you about it? Oh yes, this really is heavy. Down under here, I can get the light on it. I don't know whether you can see that or not. I'll try zooming in, but it's probably as close as I can get. Up in here, there's a pot metal boss, and the other two chassis which I have, which I'll show you in a moment, they were sort of disintegrated. So what I'll have to do is very, very carefully take this out with the shaft and the roller engagement and all that sort of stuff. That's not going to disengage, is it? No. Yes, and then ream this out a little bit more so this shaft can turn, or the outer shaft can turn more freely, because this is actually, it's not too bad. Yes, so that's turning quite well. So I might actually leave that. No, it's stiff there. Actually, it's hitting the drum inside with this rubber, or what's left of this rubber. So, yes, that seems to be sort of sorted. And we can still turn this to, it's not coming in and out. It's got a ball bearing down in here which locks backwards and forwards. Okay, so the chassis itself, this transformer looks like it's got hot at some stage, but as it's still working, I'm not going to change it for the other one. The main filter caps are missing on this, the cans, and these have been substituted in. These are probably from the late 60s, early 70s. And these paper caps here have been changed as well. There's also a, if I can move this over again. Move the camera around. Can probably just make out the bottom there. This is an electrolytic that's been replaced. Now, the big problem is going to be changing these down here. I'm not 100% sure whether they're caps or resistors. I think they're caps. And they're probably quite a specific value on them. I haven't actually studied the schematic. There is a schematic for these. And they're green, I think they're called Celdex or something like that. Don't quote me on that. But these green ones, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they're going to be, well, this one isn't, and this one and this one are not going to be hard to change, but these two here, and there's another one up here, and there's another one buried underneath it down the bottom, but they are going to be quite difficult to replace because, yeah, they're soldered down the bottom in there. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that. So this is going to be a bit of a long-term project. As I said, I have started on parts of things before. Try not to break the valves, Andrew. And I do have a slightly lower model of this where the dial has two magnifiers, one there and one there, and the sides are plain. So that one is not working at all. This is the volume control right back in here, and it's on a flexible shaft down through there. You can see there. And this is the tone control. It doesn't have an on-off switch. It's before that, although I might be able to... No, I won't be able to do that. I was going to say replace this pot up here, the volume pot, with a switch and volume pot, but that won't keep it original. The band switch is down here, and it's quite an odd arrangement. You turn it and it changes. It's got a lever here, a lever there, and it changes a switch down inside there. Now, there is a couple of other models of this chassis. One has lights in the dial, different colours. I'm not quite sure how that works, and I haven't actually physically seen one. And then there's another plain one with just a knob in the centre here, a small knob, which you can turn. So yes, so this is, as I say, is going to be quite the project to clean it all up. I'm going to do this properly, so I'll take it apart as far as possible. The section with the shielded section in the base of this is welded on. So up here there's a plate. Yeah, there's a step plate there, and that is welded to the main chassis. So it's quite impossible to just take this section out and work on it. Now, there's also something mysterious down here. So I'm not quite sure what that is. It's probably a capacitor or something like that. But it's got a metal strap around it, and it's in a box. Not sure whether it's cardboard or not, but we'll have a look on the schematic and work out whatever this is. I think it's reflex, this radio. So the second IF is also the first AF. My first plan of attack is to replace a couple of the main filter caps. I'll put these ones in. These are 10. The schematic seems to think 8 is sufficient, but it's never a bad thing to go slightly higher, especially given their noisy power supply here and probably everywhere these days. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'll leave all this as is at the moment. We'll work on the basic underside and then we'll go from there. The chassis is not that bad, but it is worse than the other one. I'm still worried about this cap down here, and I'm pretty sure it is a cap. I'll have to really study the schematic to work out what this is. There is a cap on one of the others, a paper cap, and there is nothing in the other one. So, and I think it's the GF, the plain dialed one, that has this in there as well. Although that chassis doesn't work. Okay, let's get on with it. Okay, so I've replaced this cap here, which was a 25. I don't have any 25s, so I put a 24 in there. These two are 10s, and this one down here is a .0022, and which was this horrible old thing. And the 25 was this one. Now, it does say on the schematic that it is a 25 there, but that's close enough. Now, the next ones are going to be, well, this one's going to be easy. Here, I don't know what that is. I'll have to look that up on the schematic. And down here, we have a cap there and then one of those green ones underneath it. So, and that looks pretty burnt down there. So I'm going to have to bend all these wires back somehow or another. At least this is cloth wire and not that horrible rubber stuff. Yeah, that's a tie on that. There's a resistor down there as well. So is my head getting in the way? Yeah, probably. But yeah, it's really buried right down in there. So I'm going to struggle to get that one out. And as I say, I really don't know what this one is. So that is going to be over. It looks like it connects to here, the green one, or is it down there? Oh, yeah. Okay, so the first thing to do is to put those aside for a second. See if it still works. and I'll run it through the dim bulb. So we've only got a very short little cord on this, so I'm going to have to go and get an extension cord. Okay, so here goes nothing. Now we'll slowly bring this up. Now we're at 80 volts here, and I can see this little globe glowing a little bit. So I'll bring this up a little bit further. In fact, we might even put an aerial on it. So far, no glow or no major glow on the dim bulb. So that's looking good. This globe is already much brighter than it was. I can hear it crackling. We're at about 180 volts. I can see globes, valves glowing. So I'll bring this up to 220. And it's crackling and popping. Yeah, it did do this before. So this is the band switch. And we are getting a bit of a hum out of that. Not getting anything out of that. Now 80 is only warm, not hot. That should be quite hot. And the rectifier is quite hot. Now the 80 is definitely doing something. I can hear crackles from the speaker when I turn this volume. We'll try the other position of the band switch. May have put it in the wrong position. No, you can see the bottom globe flickering away. And we're definitely in the right position there. Now the racing station should be around about here. Just make out 3AW. No. Okay. Let's bring it up a little bit more. So I don't think anything is getting through from the IF stage. I'm not sure why, because we haven't changed any caps in that area. So I'll turn it off and wait for it to cool down a bit, and then we'll be back. I've tested all the valves and they're all pretty good actually. They're surprisingly good. But I did find that one of the caps had broken off. So I've just bridged that together. And I've since tested it and it's still not really working. I suspect that either one of these cans, these two, has gone open with the extra voltage or what have you, or the oscillator is not running because of a capacitor or resistor. So I've run out of time for this week to put the video out. I think it's already going to be late. I've had to do all the photographs and the website for the upcoming auction next Sunday week, and my eye is also causing quite a bit of pain through eye strain and things like that, so it's beginning to clear up a bit. I can make things out now and they're in colour rather than a grey sort of muddy what have you, but it's still not great. Okay, so I'll wrap it up here and I'll maybe put out another video in a couple of days after the meeting tomorrow, etc. So goodbye, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't dislike this video. It is a learning process, and likes push the number of views up too, which helps me. So goodbye.